What's up, JEFusion fans? This is Phil, and welcome back to another video. So, 2023 marks the 30th anniversary of the Power Rangers series. It's been a franchise that's defined a whole generation of people. And, well, I gotta say, I guess I'm one of those people from that generation, and I think it still continues, to be a big part of many children's childhoods, or many people's childhoods up to this day, because 30 years is not a joke for a franchise to last this long. I mean, sure, you have your Japanese counterpart, Super Sentai series going on for much longer, but for a series that was basically an Americanized version of the Super Sentai series, I mean, I think in terms of scale and its reach, I think Power Rangers is definitely uh, bigger in terms of that. It's more well known. More people have watched it in more countries around the world. Uh, Of course, you know it's a no-brainer, I think. So in this video, I'm going to talk about Power Rangers from my own perspective, from my own experience, and I hope you guys enjoy listening to my stories, because this really hits hard to home. So, anyways, if you want to share your own Power Ranger stories, please let me know down in the comments below. So, let's start this video. So, we all know that Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was the beginning for the entire franchise, and it's obvious that it became a big hit wherever it was aired. Of course, not only in the United States where it came from, but also in other countries that aired it. And that includes my country, the Philippines. So the 90s definitely was, you know, peak time for Power Rangers fans. Of course, you have Mighty Morphin. So it began airing in 1993 in the United States. However, in the Philippines, we got it at around 1994. So 1994, that was the time I started schooling, and I started preschool at around that time. So like it was kind of with me growing up, and it definitely if I can describe the Power Rangers in one word, I would say it's life changing. So how did the Power Rangers, affect my life? So this is where I'm going to talk about my experiences. So the the first one that uh, I am going to mention is that the Power Rangers franchise made red my official favorite color. So as you can see, I'm wearing something red. That's because I grew up watching Power Rangers. Of like even until now, like most of my clothing, I would still have something red in them. Of course, I do wear like other colored clothes sometimes, but like when people think of me, when I want people to think of me, that I want them to associate me with the color red. So like growing up again, red became my favorite color. Red became my favorite ranger. And because of the Red Rangers, I also have come to be a sword lover. Now, yes, this is obviously a sword from the Super Sentai series. This is, of course, obviously the older caliber, but you know what I mean. So, Red Rangers and swords, they basically come hand in hand. Of course, not all the time. Like one of my favorite Red Rangers, so SPD Red, isn't technically a swordsman, so he wields guns uh, most of the time. But uh, yeah, so overall, uh, Red Rangers have become my favorite because they're also wielding swords. So I think swords are cool weapons. But yeah, I do remember back in the 90s. So of course, Power Rangers toys were so popular, right? And I remember my very first Power Rangers toy, which was the Automorphin Red Ranger. So if you guys had those, figures where you push down the belt and the chest opens and then the head flips. So from like the character to the Ranger helmet, like Jason transforms into the Red Ranger when you flip the head with a switch. You know what I mean? I also had the black and blue Rangers, so I had Zack and Billy. But I never completed that set, so I only had those three characters. And I do remember, so the only Zord that I got was the red Thunder Dragon Megazord. It doesn't transform into the dragon form, but it was like this big, and probably I would consider one of the most expensive toys I had growing up. Uh, that was until before I discovered, something like this, which definitely, like, price wise, uh, you know, maybe more or less like inflation considered, like this still would have been more expensive. Uh, but yeah, so of course, like I had like smaller toys, but ironically, I never had the Morpher, but I did buy Power Rangers toys. Not everything, but I had a some sort of collection, a small one, if any. But I do have my collection of Power Rangers toys. So I remember Mighty Morphin Power Rangers would be aired like Friday nights. So it made me more excited about Fridays than weekends because it was the day that I would get to see Power Rangers. So I believe it aired 7 p.m. Friday nights on a certain channel, and then when the franchise moved to another TV station, which was basically owned by the same company that aired the Power Rangers, so it still aired on Fridays, but on a different channel. But still, like I would still be religiously watching every Friday night, and I would get so pissed whenever I don't get the chance to watch, Power Rangers. Like, let's say my dad changes the channel to watch a basketball game. Like, really, uh, I think that's one of the reasons why I was never really into sports because, like, uh, it felt kind of forced on me. Although I was never forced to play sports, but like I hated sports because like it took away something that I was interested in. Like, yeah, it was more of a hindrance, like a nuisance, if you will. But yeah, so I would be watching Power Rangers like every Friday night. So I also remember like when I role play with some of my friends, uh, I always took the Red Ranger role, no matter what. I was always the red one, and I do remember it back in school when I was in not just preschool, but up until like about the second grade. So I had this friend. Um, so practically like he was my best friend in school that time. So We would always talk about Power Rangers. We would always role play, and when we role play, so he was always the Tommy to my Jason. So I do remember, sometimes like we would act out like fighting imaginary putties, like morphing together. So that was a really fun time, and I remember another friend. So he had like Nintendo Entertainment System and a uh, Sega Genesis, I believe. So he had Power Rangers games for those consoles, and uh, you know, every time I would go to his house, uh, like I tell him that I wanted to play Power Rangers. Of course, like we played other games, but like if uh, he brings out like the Power Rangers cartridges, like let's do this. And of course, you know who I would always choose, right? But it was definitely a fun experience. And I remember, like, for the Sega Genesis, like, he had the Power Rangers movie video game. That was really awesome. Uh, yeah. So, like, how did, like, how did the Power Rangers change my life in other ways? Of course, other than being a fan. So, it also in a way became my gateway to Super Sentai. Now, this might sound confusing because even before Power Rangers aired in the Philippines, like we've already had Super Sentai shows, and like the very first Super Sentai show that I've ever watched on TV was Hikari Sentai Mask Man, and there have been like other shows like Kosok Sentai Turbo Ranger and Chojin Sentai Jetman. So all part of my childhood, but they never had that same impact as the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. And like especially like in the later 90s, maybe up until the year 2000. So I like on different channels, like so this one channel would be airing Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. One channel would be airing like Bioman and another like Bioman and like Turbo Ranger, and then another channel would be airing Jetman and Five Man. So like Tokusatsu was all over the place, like in the Philippines, for example. Of course, like I know other countries have seen them, but yeah, uh, I was exposed to different Tokusatsu shows, different Super Sentai shows, but again, like when I talk with my friends, especially that best friend I had, um, we would be focused more on Power Rangers. It became the talk of the town, so it became more talked about than any other show. It became more talked about than its Japanese counterparts. So yeah, but like when my when my love for Super Sentai uh got sparked. So I remember it was in 2007. I think it was around 2007 that I would consider myself like definitely going more into Super Sentai, but it was still thanks to Power Rangers. So back then, like uh SPD was basically my favorite, although it aired a few like a year around a year earlier. So let's say 2006, and then so I got curious. So it got me watching Deca Ranger, and then I realized like wow, like like Super Sentai has been awesome, and again, that kind of led me into liking Japanese tokusatsu a lot more. But again, it still stems from that love of the Power Rangers franchise. Well, to be honest, like the '90s ones, like the original ones. But Um, like later seasons that I watched, sure, like I do love them, but um, I guess you can say like Power Rangers is one of the main reasons why I'm doing this. Like, JEFusion, I'm a part of the JEFusion team. So because like all of us grew up in that generation, like we grew up watching the same shows, and we ended up sharing that same love. So it's uh, that's why, if you remember, I told you guys earlier, right, in this video, that's how life changing the Power Rangers franchise has been for me. And who knows, maybe in the future, like, we would see another form of Power Rangers that a new generation of people will love, and maybe inspire them to also like Japanese tokusatsu. Who knows? Maybe yes, maybe no. Only time can tell. But it's something that the future is still something I look forward to in that regard. So, anyways, that's my story of how the Power Rangers changed my life. So, this is my 30th anniversary tribute to the franchise, a franchise that I grew up watching, I grew up loving, and something that a reason that why I'm here, you know. So, anyways, thank you so much for watching. And again, let me know your stories down in the comments below. So, as always, please do leave a like, comment, share, subscribe, and don't forget that notification bell so you get the latest from JEFusion. This has been Philip, and may the power protect you.